We're back with the loading screen. It's fine.
Run!
You know, if he put on some red shoes and painted himself blue, he might go faster. Oh my god, it's Knuckles. What did you do? Shave off your dreadlocks? I can tell it's him by the red tie.
You might want to move the mouse. I'm not too sure if you get mouse pickup.
I don't think so. I don't see the mouse.
Oh, that was mine.
Yeah, it's yours. Smart.
Damn.
I was gonna say, the mouse disappears when I'm on this. It shouldn't be over top of anything.
Damn. They're proving that we aren't in the same room.
You're destroying the illusion. The facade has been broken. Stop peeling back the curtain.
No!
Don't look at the man behind the curtain. You're scaring everyone.
So I was.
Man, he always takes us to such nice places, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like a shitty bathroom, a wasted freaking, like, warehouse to beat us in. You know?
Yeah.
Man, we got such a nice boss.
Yeah. In this crappy bathroom, we'll have a talk.
Will we have the talk? Is this when Majima learns about the birds and the bees?
I think he's a little bit too old for that talk.
I don't know, man. I think Sagawa needs to sit him down and tell him exactly how a baby's made, you know? He seems too innocent. He's only been murdering people, or at least beating them up severely, you know?
Yeah.
He hasn't had any fun time. He's just been told, you know, don't let the clientele get too close to the girls. That's about it. So when does Majima's innocence get shattered? When do we tell him that he needs to start taking condoms with him? Oh man. Oh, the consortium. Is that where the dwarves decide how much money they're going to make? Sorry, RuneScape reference. Sorry, A, RuneScape reference. B, Run Escape reference. C, Game Grumps reference. Did you ever get into MMOs? I'm curious.
No.
So no World of Warcraft, no RuneScape for you, none of that stuff?
No.
Interesting. Did you try them at all, or just?
I think I may have done a cheap imitation of one on. I mean, like cheap imitation. I mean, like free to play on Congregate. Maybe 10 or so years ago as an experiment, but I never really could get into it.
I find that interesting because if I remember right, when I started getting into it, which is probably like early 2000s or so, I want to say, early to mid probably. I think they all had like a free trial run that you could do. Or not trial run, but like there was a free section of the game for players that were not paying a subscription.
Oh.
Like I know RuneScape had that. Like there was a whole decent chunk of the game that was just straight up free.
So what is Warcraft, like $30 a month?
I'm not actually sure because I never got into Warcraft myself. Like At the time, to me, that was like the barrier of dropping into like full-on nerddom. Little did my past self know I would fall into that trap much later in life.
Via anime.
Via anime and other video games.
Yes, but at least you're not a Warcraft nerd.
I probably would have liked it. Although, granted, I think like the ridiculous aesthetics kind of also put me off a bit with like the giant-ass pauldrons you'd wear. Like, that stuff always was like, that's way too oversized for me to really look at and like it.
Yeah, but then you look at Cloud Strife and his Buster Sword.
See, now, I also did not get into that. Like, I never got into a Final Fantasy game.
Not even the NES, SNES stuff.
Nope, I was not around for that stuff either. I was too young at that point when that stuff dropped. The first one I ended up looking at some point was like, I think 11 or 12, and by that point all I ever heard was like, well, it's not 7, it's not as good. So I ended up just like bypassing it. Like looking back at it now, I might pick up the re-release of 7 on the Switch at some point, maybe? I don't know yet. I know I've been eyeing Chrono Trigger for a bit.
Oh, crap, what was that? Evermore? Yes, Secret of Evermore.
That's familiar.
It's kind of, but not exactly, a reskin or same engine of the original Secret of Mana. It's a really good RPG.
The name sounds very familiar. I might have heard someone talk about it or something at some point.
But the interesting thing is, it's a top-down action RPG with Zelda-like elements.
I was gonna say, couldn't you... That sounds like it would be very much like Zelda to begin with. It's just a matter of you're not so much solving puzzles as you are battling out against other sprites.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, there is... Well, this was at a point when the only RPGs I knew were you take a turn, opponents take a turn, you take a turn...
Turn-based.
It's a back and forth turn-based. But this one is everybody is attacking you from different angles. You can move around, attack them from different angles.
Yeah.
Snipe them from across the map if you have a ranged weapon.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that's interesting.
So it was more an active battle rather than just turn-based.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I... Maybe that would be action at that point in time? I'm trying to think of what that would actually be called, because it's not turn-based and it's not a real-time strategy game. I guess action would be the best thing to call it. Because at that time you didn't really have all that much in the 3D space to work with. Nice. Because most people were still working with, like, sprites.
Yep. It is an action RPG, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, okay, they're just hiding inside the pool down here? Alright. Makes some sense.
Is this a prostitution ring?
I have no idea. I was barely paying attention. I was too invested in our talks. What was the other thing? Oh, right. So, yeah, we were talking about MMOs, too, and we kind of dropped that topic for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got into RuneScape first, and that I enjoyed for a bit. I even got to the point of, like, I was having an active subscription for a while, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Right? It was after that, I think it was, like, I dropped it for a bit, because I got tired of having everything for a while, after a while. Of just going through that and running out of content, because I'd actually gotten through most of the active game at that point. And I'm like, I don't even feel like creating a new character or anything, because I got to create a whole new subscription for that at that point. They fixed it now, because I drop back in every now and then just to see what the heck's going on. They did fix that then. So now you can't have multiple characters on the same account. But, oh. Ooh. Let me in. But, yeah, I ended up dropping that for a couple years, and then Guild Wars 2 came out, which was a really fun game that I played for a while. It was one of the ones where it's like, it's not a subscription model, you just straight up buy the game, and that's it. Now, since then, they've added in, like, real money transactions and, like, stuff like that, which is kind of, like, turned me off of it. And they've also come out with, like, DLC, or, not DLC, expansions. That's the word.
Okay.
Where I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I said that from the beginning, where it's like, if they would just give me an expansion, I'd be more than happy to buy it, because I enjoyed the base game so much. It just took them forever to do it. So I kind of fell out of the game after that. I have dipped back in a little bit when a friend of mine was getting into it, but I don't know, it just didn't feel the same, because I had to go through all the same stuff again.
And don't you hate it that you have a multiplayer online game that you used to love a few years back, and you're like, man, I haven't played that game in a while, and nobody else remembers that game?
I've never had it where someone doesn't remember the game.
Well, nobody's playing the game anymore.
Yeah, that one's fine. Granted, I was always a really, like, when it came to the MMO, I was a solo player for the most part. Guild Wars did force you to jump into, like, groups and stuff because of raid battles and junk like that. Which, you know, it's not terrible. You can do it when you don't need to, like, have an active conversation with anyone.
Because I recently remembered this game. It was like Worms, but with tanks.
Oh, I remember that game. Wasn't that on, like, the fucking... Shit, I forget what it was called, but yes, I know exactly what game you're talking about.
Yeah. But
it was very much like Worms.
Yeah, I went back and played that like 9 months ago, a year ago, and nobody was on. I'm like, crap, there's no solo option.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember playing that game a lot at the time, because that was before, like...
by myself in the lobby, waiting for someone, anyone.
The only downside was you only ever had one tank. You didn't have more, like, pieces to use.
Yeah, yeah.
What the hell even is this? Oh, I'm scared. Look at this shit, man.
Is this a JoJo reference?
I would love it if it was, but they don't have tequila, so I have to say no. Ooh. Nice. I forgot about this move. That's even more vulnerable considering they're fucking... what they're wearing, Jesus. Ooh, nice. Oof. Open up. Majima's coming to play. Hello! Is it just the one? Nope, there's more.
And a lot more.
Oh, he's got an ottoman. Why you gotta hit me, man? Alright, look, I just want to beat the crap out of you. I just want you to let me in. Oh, God, these... Alright, you. Knock it! Knock it off. I'm getting real tired of this. You. You and your freaking knives. I am so tired of that. Here we go. How's it feel? Give me all that money. I need to feed myself. I don't have enough yen. Give me all your yen. And he's down. You're next. Let me out of this crap.
So, were you totally against fighting games or not really?
I just never had an interest in it, really. Like, it never really piqued my interest. Like, when it was in an arcade and I had people around me, sure, and maybe if I was in a community like that, maybe I'd be more interested. But just, like, playing it on my own, not really. It just never scratched any itch I had. It's always been RPGs, really.
Except for the Dragon Ball one, right?
I mean, that was more for the Dragon Ball than it was for the fighting game, if I'm being honest.
Oh.
But, yeah, no, fighting games just, they never scratched any itch I had. It's always been RPGs and learning about a world like that. That's always caught my interest more than anything else. Which makes it more of a shame that I never got into the Witcher series until 3. And even then, I haven't gotten a chance to finish playing that. Just because, like, I think another game came out. I want to say when I bought 3, I think I was still super into Dark Souls 3 at that point. So it ended up just, like, sitting on the sidelines after 3 came out. Just because that was a series I had much more investment in. I also know that Witchers 1 and 2 tend to be a lot harder to get into because the controls are really hard to work with when it's not on just an outright console. So I can't exactly play it on PC because the ports aren't great. And I'm sure there's probably mods that fix that, but when I looked last, I couldn't really find any good ones. Okay, hello. That's a thing that just happened.
Since they're 25-ish% fighting game, how do you feel about beat-em-ups?
Beat-em-ups are fine. I could get into beat-em-ups. I like Castle Crashers and stuff like that.
Well, this is kind of a beat-em-up.
Yeah, no, beat-em-ups are fine. Like regular 1v1 fighting game, like 2D fighting games, just never did anything for me. I could get into like the more 3D ones, like when we were talking about that construction one that you were talking about before.
Yes.
That one, I can get more into games that are like that, like the arena fighters. And maybe that's just because like the 3-dimensional space does way more for me than the 2D space.
Okay.
Like it makes me feel like I have much more movement to work with.
Because if I had a Dreamcast emulator, I would just love me some Power Stone.
I mean, we could totally do something like Castle Crashers at some point, because that's a great brawler. Or, actually, if I'm not sure if it's possible, but I know that you can pick up Metal Slug in some places. Now, whether or not it has online capabilities added into it or not, I don't know.
Metal Slug.
What's wrong with that?
Maybe it was just because it was in an arcade setting, but dear God, Metal Slug is so hard.
I honestly enjoyed Metal Slug even though it was hard. Like, I loved that art style. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun, but...
Oh, wait a minute. What's that?
But
items. Gimme.
Me, like, running out of money that I would want to spend on, like, midway through level 3, every time I play the game, I'm like, no, this is way too hard. Like, the settings are way too jacked up for the arcade. Like, just, where's easy mode?
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's not Contra insane, but it is pretty hard.
Which is why, like, when you play the new, like, non-arcade versions, they don't have that ridiculous, like, not ridiculous difficulty, but, like, you have the ability to get much more lives, and your continues are endless, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think they're a little bit more fun that way, because it's like, yay, I'm actually making progress. I'm actually getting better at this game.
I mean, it forces you to learn. That's a lot of the way, like, say, Dark Souls works. You're forced to learn. Either that, or you're forced to, like, you know, just farm, like, souls to upgrade your stats. So that way, you don't have to try and just brute force your way through it. But either way, you have to learn some of the enemy's patterns. Even if it's not the boss you're gonna, you know, cleave through, you're gonna learn. You're gonna have to learn the basic enemy mentalities and their attacks, so that way you can farm them. Or, you know, you could be like one of those weird guys who just lets all of their phantoms that they summon in do the work for them. And they just sit back and reap all the benefits. Oh boy, but yeah, no, Metal Slug is a good game. I'm trying to think of other ones that are out, like more recent ones, and I'm like blanking on them. Like I know there have been some, and I just can't think of what they are.
I haven't been paying enough attention to the plot this time. I'm still trying to figure out if this is a prostitution ring.
I mean, it could have been. It could just be like a built-up love hotel too.
Maybe. Yeah. That's totally not what's going on. Majima, you're a terrible liar. Your face is as red as a tomato right now.
What is the taste of a liar, Sarah? Tell me.
Shut up, Sarah! Baka! I don't love her!
He starts licking his fucking cheeks. This is the taste of a liar, Majima. What the shit, man?
Oh my god.
Oh, I saw an amazing JoJo meme today. Holy shit.
What?
It had Johnny Joestar being like, "What you got, Jonathan? I got a horse." Well, it's so much better than the ripple. The spin is so much better the technique than the ripple. And Jonathan's just off screen like, "Yeah, I know, but you know what I got that you don't, Johnny? What's that? Working legs." And he's just like losing his shit. It's just a panel of him just like gasping like freaking Darby out of part 3. He's like, "Oh god, oh the bird, Jesus, oh man." It's so good.
I think it was like Eyes Above Heaven or something, but
Eyes Over Heaven.
Eyes Over Heaven, but Johnny fights on a horse.
Yes.
That would be interesting.
I mean, his horse isn't always there. Like, they can knock the horse out. So he does, like, crawl around to the ground until he can kind of, like, call the horse back.
Yeah, but we'll continue this talk next time.
Yes. Yes, we will.
Yes.
See ya.
Later.